Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, today I rise to ask that we adjourn in the memory of Ian Frank Tortorici. Ian Frank Tortorici, or as I knew him by simply Frank, was killed in Ukraine while on leave from being on the front lines and dining at a local restaurant. A hypersonic missile hit the restaurant that killed Frank, some civilians, including children. Frank was born May 10, 1991 in Oceanside. Then his family moved to Lake Forest. So you may be wondering, why am I doing a name for someone that doesn't live in my district? I'll let you know. The Monday following Frank's high school graduation, he shipped off to Marine Corps boot camp, where he trained and specialized in data and radio communication systems. 6 months later, Frank and I met while assigned to Marine Corps Unit MWSS 473, where we were both mobilized in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. I remember Frank as a smart, funny guy. He had a wonderful smile and sometimes was quiet. He was known as one of the smart guys because he was a data. That was his military, his MOS, and I was a radio operator. I'm still very smart, though. We trained together as we prepared to get deployed to Bahrain. In talking with his father after Frank's passing, I was able to find a photo of us together. We didn't take too many photos back then. Marines are always hard at work. Both of us looked so serious out in the field, looking cold as hell. I knew Frank from my days in the Marines, and that is enough to create a long-lasting relationship because no matter where all my Marines are now, we still care for each other very much. And since his passing, Frank's father and I have been in conversation, and I learned much more about Frank beyond being a Marine veteran. Frank excelled in martial arts and wrestling. He broke his high school's all-time pinning record and became a 2-time CIF runner-up while maintaining a 3.5 GPA. After Corporal Frank was discharged, I learned that he briefly worked at Microsoft. He became a ranger for the National Park Service, where he performed law enforcement duties, search and rescue, and rural EMT services. Frank was then picked up by the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement. He graduated as the Outstanding Distinguished Graduate for the Training Academy. Being the Marine that he was, because once a Marine, always a Marine, Frank left for Ukraine 1 week after the Russian invasion as Kyiv was under attack. Frank fought for almost 16 months, serving in some of the harshest conditions and battles in Kyiv and all across Ukraine. He was credited with saving many lives within his team while aggressively pursuing the enemy. Like a true Marine, Frank thrived in the harshest conditions and had an unbreakable, happy spirit while serving in Ukraine. Thank you to his father, John, for sharing some of those videos of Frank with me. John is here in the gallery with Frank's brother, Taylor. Frank is survived by his parents, his brothers, sisters, nieces, and nephews, and his girlfriend, Nadia, who is preparing a traditional wedding towel for their planned October engagement. Till Valhalla, brother. Take care.
I appreciate the words from my colleague from San Fernando Valley. I never knew Frank, but what he was fighting for was the values that we're all here trying to represent. My parents grew up during the Korean War, and I can say honestly, I wouldn't be here. My parents would never have had the opportunity to come to America, but for the sacrifices of 36,000 American GIs fighting far from home for values that seemed abstract, and that's what Frank was fighting for freedom, fighting for democracy, fighting for the opportunity to be who we want to be, fighting for our basic rights in a war where there's clearly one side that is evil and one side that is fighting against that evil. And it's ironic that he was actually not on the front lines when he was killed in a terrorist attack from Russia in a war that is rife with war crimes. He was killed by a war crime. But he was out there fighting for what's right, and I just wanted to stand up here and say thank you to him for what he represents, and so sorry to the family for your loss.
Thank you, Senator Min.